I still love that little it's not a hamster. What is that called? A guinea pig with the sunglasses, just kind of. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm bringing the topic of going back to the basics. And what I mean by going back to the basics, we have the reading, writing, and arithmetic. We all know that part. I'm talking about the basics that our grandparents used to do that we have lost over the years. I'm talking about sewing, mending, cooking, cleaning, teaching your children first aid, gardening, you name it. These things have been thrown out. It's like, no, we're the microwave society. Pop it in the microwave. Hey, look, we got a plastic meal. That's what I call it. It's a plastic meal. It's not good for you. It's not, or plastic burgers, go through the drive-through, pick up your plastic burgers. And these kids are being raised to where they're not learning how to cook. They don't know how to cook. They don't even know how to boil an egg. It's the first thing my mother taught me was how to boil water and boil an egg. At age 6, guys, age 6, I learned how to boil an egg. Children can be taught in the kitchen. And I know Sandi teaches her granddaughter in the kitchen. So you can teach your toddler in the kitchen. And I have a picture, and I don't know if I'll be able to screen share it. I'm going to try. Let's see if I can do this. Where is it? Oh, it's not going to work. All right, never mind. I tried. How do I get out of here? All right, it's a picture a friend of mine has up on her Facebook, and her son had asked for, he's homeschooled, he asked for a stuffed cabbage for dinner. Not very many children want stuffed cabbage, do they? They usually want hamburgers and French fries today. Well, this young man wanted stuffed cabbage. Mommy, can you make me stuffed cabbage? He's 7, 8 years old. He's somewhere in that age group. And she said, sure, I'll make that. She was so proud of him. She had everything that needed to be made for this. And he ended up getting his little apron on, and he made the stuffed cabbage with Mommy. Boys can cook. There's boy chefs. So you don't sit there and genderize that. But there are some things that, girls do that only girls can do, and only boys can do. Boy chefs. So you don't. But there's so much that's going on today that we can be, because of this whole lockdown, some of these states are locked down. Y'all know which states you are that are locked down. You can take that time, mommies and daddies, to go and teach your child how to do things. And daddy, take your son out into that garage, show him what tools are. Even a daughter, show her what a hammer is, show her how to use a hammer, how to nail hammer a nail into a piece of wood, maybe make something together, or fix the lawnmower, or change the lawnmower oil. These are things that are like, you don't see children doing anymore. I rarely see a child walking down the street like when I was a child with a lawnmower, going to neighbors' houses and saying, hey, would you like your lawn mowed? Not asking for any money, just asking if they can mow their lawn to be nice. You don't see that anymore. You don't see that etiquette anymore. So back to basics. And I think next week I'll probably go a little bit more into the back to the basics, but I thought I'd just touch a little bit on the back to the basics here. Start teaching your kids the basic things that need to be taught, so when they come out of that house, they know how to do. The public school system is only teaching them how to pass a test. That's all they're doing. And we need to teach our children how to live, how to survive, how to even canning or dehydrating or preparing food for winter. We need to teach our children the basics. And that's just the first part of this. There's so much more.
I will say that I am 100% in agreement with you, because people are coming out, like you said, they don't even know how to boil an egg. Amariah boils eggs. Not only does she know how to do it in there, but she gets her kitchen, and we have boiled eggs 3 or 4 times, her little plastic eggs. She has them in there. It starts doing, and it's ready. And she brings me boiled eggs all the time. I had to laugh when you said that. Jonathan was in the kitchen as much as he could be. Jonathan's an amazing cook. Yeah. And, he always partook of what was ever being made. It was one of the privileges too. But I think about skills like just basically carpentry skills, or things that like Mark knows. I know I'm talking about you, Mark, because you know so much on how to put things together. Basically, you built a tiny house. Those kind of things people need to know. We don't even know the basics anymore. How do you use a screwdriver? How do you change a tire? They don't even know that, much less how to build something or just abide by everyday life, how to sew. Everybody should know how to at least sew on a
Mend.
button.
Yeah, mending.
Mend.
Nobody knows how to mend anymore, so they throw their clothes away. It's not that difficult to mend. And there's some kids, like I have nieces, I have a lot of nieces and nephews on my husband's side. They don't even know how to pitch a tent.
Well, I will say this at Sukkot back, years ago, Richard and Betty over in our section over at Chandler, they would always, I used to go and I would, people would be getting in and they'd send me their tent and I would set everybody's tent up. Yeah. And they rightfully so came and said, don't do that anymore. Everybody needs to learn how to set up their own, no matter when they're coming in. Exactly. They're 100% right. And so, with the exception, this next year, I will set up Eddie's tent for him. I will do that. So, but I stopped right then, and people need to, because you need to learn those skills. You can give a man a fish and then feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish and he does it for a lifetime. That's that saying. But there are some basic skills, even basic mechanics. There are so many things out there we need to return to, and we may not be able to jump to this shop or that shop anymore, especially if laws come out about vaccination and stuff like that. You and I are on our own. And if we don't have those skills, and if we haven't been passing down those skills, that's an issue.
Yeah, Bill and Stephanie were really good and are really good with their kids. They taught, the boys how to cook. I mean, Bill got in there and he said, this is how you make soup. This is how you make chili. This is how you heat this. He said, because he said they won't always be here and they need to have life skills to go out and survive. By the same token, we used to laugh at Haley because when she was little, we'd say, well, she's out there helping her daddy change the oil with her pearls on. I mean, she is a girly girl. And, she's wearing her pearls and her little bracelets and she's out there, acting like she's helping her daddy change the oil. But she needs to know how to change the oil. She needs to know how to change a tire in case she's out somewhere by herself and she's got to put a tire on. Her daddy's a mechanic. He'll teach her that. So, my son Daniel, he has a garden and he learned how to can and put things up, his peppers and stuff. And he would look for recipes and everything. He loves doing that kind of stuff because he loves his food that he puts up. He doesn't like sandwiches. So he doesn't like leftovers, but that's another story. But, and you're right, Joe, a lot of people who do handwork, crocheting and knitting and cross stitch, a lot of that is being lost because it's not being passed down. Sewing, just regular sewing. How do you make a dress? How do you make a shirt? I've got a friend that can look at something in the store and go home and make it. She made suits for her husband and ties, so a lot of those things, but she taught her daughter. And I've tried handwork and stuff. I can knit Afghans with a certain stitch that I have. And it may be a little crooked, but it works. And but my daughter, for her where she goes to church, somebody announces they're pregnant, she goes and makes a baby blanket for them. She gets these strips and stuff and sews a baby blanket together for each child. And she said, we got like 5 babies next month, I gotta get to work, so she's kind of been behind some, but she still, she's got the things to do it. And then she was making blankets to take to the Life Choices Center where they counsel women that are pregnant, to put in their things for them to have for their babies. So there's a lot of ways we can use the skills that we have. We're so used to going to Walmart, which my personal opinion, I think Walmart is part of the evil empire, but we're so used to going to Walmart and buying things. And, people, a lot of the kids don't know what it means to have homemade preserves that have been put up. Or did you know that you can can butter? Did you realize you can can butter? And if you do it a certain way, it'll keep for 5 years on your shelf in the jars. There's a website, and not a website, but a YouTube. It's called Homestead Heart. It's a really, I laugh at that lady. They're doing their own homesteading. They've got a thing on there, how you slaughter chickens, how you can butter, how you put up dried beans. She's real funny. She's putting up dried beans in a sealed plastic tub. She was telling where you get them and how you seal them. And she was saying, can you keep them in this bag like this? No, because guess what? They'll turn into pea gravel. That's all they're good for if they stay in there too long. She said, ask me how I know. Just ask me how I know. So evidently, and I've heard that if you keep dried beans, they reach a point where they will not rehydrate. And then, you know, like if we get in a civil war, you could probably put them in pea shooters and really hurt people. But other than that, they're not good for much.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. If you don't put them up with it. Anyway, the website is really good. I think it's called Homestead Heart. It's a Black lady, and she is hilarious. But she's very knowledgeable of a lot of things that they do. She's just talking about how they bought their homestead and they're living off the land, you know. And so it's really funny. She has a dog named Jackson. She said Jackson barks on every recording. She said, there's Jackson.
We call those beans that last a long time. My dad from Texas, he calls those slingshot ammo.
Yeah, you have to put dried beans up, because she was showing it, beans and rice. She was showing how to do it, because Walmart and all the stores, she said you couldn't find it. But she puts bay leaves in there to keep down critters and stuff. It's really good. It's if anybody's interested, she does show a lot of the home skills. But I was fascinated on how she did the canned butter. I'd never heard of it. And also,
you can also do
in eggs. And did you know that you could put eggs? I think it's lye and water. I think don't go by me.
They're called glass eggs.
You put them in an even mix of lye and water, or maybe it's less lye, but they have to be fresh laid eggs from the hen that has never been washed. That's how they kept them during the war. You drop them down in there with the small side down, and they'll keep for months. They're still good eggs.
They call them glass eggs.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah, they call them glass eggs. That's something that I've been meaning to do. Also, with the butter, canning butter, you can make ghee as well, because you take the foam off of it when you're processing the butter to make ghee, which ghee is a good thing to have as well on hand. And yes, it does last 5 years, people. I tried it. My kids and I experimented and kept one jar of our butter that we canned, and we labeled it "Don't Touch" for 5 years. We put the date on it. And when the 5th year came about, we used it. No problem, no smells, no issues. My daughter, she got a microscope for her birthday, and she even, and I'm not talking about the cheap toy microscopes. This was a real biology microscope. She went and took some of that butter and looked in the microscope to make sure there was no critters in there. So our kids need to learn these things.
You have to can butter like you can meat. It has to be done with the pressure canner. Yeah. But you can also put it in, and they'll last, like where you can do it for, I forget, less than a year or 6 months or something like that. There's just different ways you do it. And, but I'd never heard of that. So, money skills, that's exactly right. We teach our kids money skills. In fact, I got tickled at my granddaughter, and for kindergarten, they had the grandparents come for breakfast. And Haley had her little wallet, and she would give it to the lady. And she said, "Is this your granddaughter?" I said, "Yes." She said, "She checks her money. She checks her money." I said, "Grammy was the banker."
Yeah.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.